Hey everyone, welcome back. Icon here. Thanks for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. Real quick, before we get into today's video, I just have a short announcement for you guys. Tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 7:30 Central, which would be 5:30 Pacific Time, I'm going to be breaking down all 4 maps live on my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/IconNationYT. We're going to be breaking down the 6-1 search and destroy victory that Atlanta had, the domination on St. Petrograd, and the Hackney Yard hardpoint. So this is a way for me to personally interact with you guys. You can ask questions if there's something you don't understand about why some team did whatever they did in search and destroy. We can talk live, we can chat back and forth. So if you don't follow me already, make sure you go follow me. It's twitch.tv/IconNationYT, and I will see you later on today. But with that in mind, let's go ahead, let's hop into today's video. We're breaking down the very first map here. So bottom left hand corner, there's a mini map. I love that I can look at Codcaster like this, but this was the very first map, and everybody was talking about how important the very beginning of this was. I know the Codcasters were making a big deal out of it, Merc and Maven, but I wanted to make sure that we were breaking this down just because it was kind of, I don't know, it was like an important moment in the match for me because Florida came out right from the get-go and they showed that they weren't going to be pushed around. They weren't really going to be bullied. So with that said, if we're looking at the mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see this entire time Atlanta has been spawning on the right-hand side of the map. So they got the initial spawns that they were looking for, and they've been able to hold them down the entire time. Again, if we pause this and just take a peek, mini-map bottom left-hand corner, this is what we're talking about as we're about to go back to the second hardpoint. You can see that this entire side of the map is occupied by Atlanta. And that's important for a couple reasons. Not only are they going to have control of P2 once it goes there, but the fact that they're pushed up on both the top and the bottom sides of the map tells us that as it rotates to P2, that's going to continue to push Florida out towards the middle of the map. Now, most of the time, this gets contested and this gets broken pretty easily. But just keep that in mind as we watch kind of things develop on the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner. Right here, they're on board with Frosty because with about 10 seconds left, right now, the observers are starting to pay attention to who's the most push up towards P2, right? That's kind of what everybody wants to see. Okay, we understand that Florida's spawning kind of mid-map, but we want to be on board with whoever is closest to the action or the closest to pushing out the next hardpoint. And so far, the bottom of the map is what broke first. Let's go ahead. Let's pause this real quick. If we're looking down towards the bottom, you can see that Florida was spawning here, right? Well, they continued to push down the bottom of the map. And as soon as you can break through the bottom, now all of a sudden this becomes a bottom of the hill versus top of the hill conundrum here. So you can see top of the hill up here where Celium and Simp are, that's where they're spawning. So now when they fight back into the hill, they have to come through these lanes. So if you're a team that's aspiring in the challenger scene or whatever, when it comes to some of these hard points like P2 that are absolutely money hills on this map, all you have to do, you just have to break out one side, right? Because if you think about it, if you're Atlanta, well, you're going to have at least a couple people in hill, which means if you have 3 left, there can only be 1 or 2 people on either side of the map. So if you send all 5 of your resources towards one side of the map, you're probably going to be able to break there. So with about 5 seconds, we're getting ready to move on to P3. I like that little picture-in-picture that they started doing in the bottom right-hand side of the map. I don't know, it just gives you a little bit of an insight in terms of, yes, we know what's happening in the current hardpoint, but the picture-in-picture allows us to see what's going on rotation. as we're rotating to P3, obviously Florida's trying to work back from the P2 side of the map, and I like what Frosty's doing here. So as we were on board with Frosty, yes, they have control of P3, but as it's rotating from P3 to P4 to P5, you want to have control of the left side of the map, right? Again, mini-map bottom left-hand corner. As we were looking at it, this is the spawn that Florida has, and this is P3. Well, as it goes to P4 and to P5, you want to be having this spawn back here that Atlanta has. So if you are Florida, you don't just want to rest on the fact that, okay, we are inside of P3, or at least they were inside of P3. You want to push forward and you want to get those spawns for P5, because just like P2, P5 is a really big money hill. Now, the other way that you can look at P4 through P5 is that if you don't have the map control and you're not pushed up to get the spawns for P5, then you better capitalize and get all that you can possibly get on P4, right? It's kind of a way to negate the fact that Atlanta's probably going to get a ton of points inside of P5. So if you go even on P4, but you go negative 50 on P5, then you're losing 50 points worth of traction in this overall matchup. But if you're able to get 30 points or 40 points inside of P4 and you give up 50 points inside of P5, now all of a sudden you're only negative 10 over the course of those two hard points. So just something to think about in the grand scheme of thing, because that's really important. Instead of freaking out and trying over and over and over again to try and flip map control for P5, sometimes you just think, okay, we'll just control P4 to do the best that we can, and then as it rotates to P5, then we'll do our best to try to break that as well. So as we're watching this here, this is Florida's initial push. Abizi and Priesta and Major Maniac picked up 3. Nice 2-piece from Pharaoh. SKYZ also got 1. And now take a look at the bottom left-hand corner of the minimap. So now as we're watching this, you can see that this is becoming Florida spawning on the bottom of the map, which is forcing Atlanta to spawn on the top of the map. So this is just like P2, right? And P2 becomes a bottom and a top side of the map. That's the same thing that's happening here. So as Florida is pushing up here, number 6, this is Awakening, is trying to get the cut as Atlanta runs in. The rest of them are trying to infiltrate through the back and through the side, because if you can push out the back and you can win control of the hill, now you have the dominant spawns for P5. So this is a really nice job at first glance from Florida of putting pressure inside of the hill. They got the kills down at the bottom of the map, and now they're just trying to contest and hop in. Havoc, Frosty, Pharaoh, all with kills, and just like that, as they show us the big minimap, look what happened. Again, Florida was spawning here. They pushed out the back. They infiltrated from the sides. They won the gunfights inside the hill, and now these last 20 seconds, or at least it appears so, they're going to get those last 20 seconds, right? If you look at these 3 red arrows, which is Celium, Simp, and Priesta, they're already rotating because they want to cut off anybody from Florida that might be rotating early. So really nice job out of Florida there. We'll press play. We'll let it go. But this is really big, right? Because they took over with 20 seconds left. So if you're getting 20 points and the enemy's not getting 20 points, that's a 40-point swing. So take 20 points away from Florida, give 20 points to Atlanta. It's basically a 100-100 game. So the fact that Florida was able to capitalize and flip spawns there, they still have the lead. Now, the only thing is, and if we look at this, there is somebody that's pushed through. Look at Awakening on the bottom of the map. These are things that they don't really pay too much attention to in the action because they're so focused on what's going on inside the hard point. But again, minimap bottom left-hand corner, look right here, number 6. Awakening has snuck through, and he's just going to hide here. He's going to wait to pounce at the right moment, because if he goes right now, say he pushes up and he kills Priesta right here, then obviously Celium and Abizi are going to look this way and they're going to trade that out, right? So all he's trying to do is just wait it out until there's a perfect moment where he can pinch and he can get kills. Just kind of wait, just kind of sit there. It looks like right there. It looks like he's been discovered. Nice kill right there on Priesta, but he is traded out. So that's a really smart move from Atlanta. You might not have picked up on it, but Atlanta was spawning where? When Atlanta died on P1 and they spawned up here towards the top side of the map. Why would they spawn at the top side of the map and not just in here somewhere? Reason why is because Florida has a presence on the bottom part of P2. So that was a really astute, a really nice job of Atlanta realizing, wait, things don't seem right. We're not spawning in the correct position. So let's go ahead, let's push out the bottom side of the map, because if they don't, then Awakening's still sitting there, and all of a sudden, if you just get one or two more players to push that bottom side of the map, Awakening can pinch, and then they can push out and they can start to contest inside of P2. So again, as we're rotating here, another nice job from Florida, because as it rotated from P1 to P2, they were able to get 20 points inside of P1. And that's another hill where you don't just want it to be a wasteland, right? I get that you want to try to flip spawn so you can get behind in P2, but if you give up time inside of P1 and you give up time inside of P2, then that's super detrimental to your overall cause. So by getting 20 points, they've negated, look at the score in the top. So there's 30 seconds left on the current hard point. So them able to get 20 points inside of P1, and they gave up the first 30 points of P2 to Atlanta. Now that's only -10. Whereas if they don't get anything inside of P1, they're still -20 overall based on the last 70 or 80 seconds or so. I know that there's a lot of math that's going into this, but that's kind of what it is, right? In a way, it's a numbers game, because you want to know, you want to be on top of, well, we have to get to 250, so we're trying to save, we're trying to crunch numbers wherever we can possibly do that. And they're doing a nice job of that so far. So with the last 10 seconds here about to tick off, we're rotating back to P3 on the opposite side of the map. And this is the exact opposite setup that we saw the first set of rotations. First set of rotations, Florida had the P5 map control, and Atlanta had P5 map control and Florida was pushing out from P2. This is the exact opposite. So Florida has P5 map control and Atlanta's trying to push and flip the map from P2. One thing I'll notice is that at the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the mini-map, Major Maniac just died over towards Woods. So now that they have a presence down towards the bottom of the map, that means they know that Atlanta is going to be spawning from Beat-On, from Cole, from Minecart on the top side of the map. I really like what Pharaoh's doing. Look how far Pharaoh's pushed up. He's able to get a kill there on a BZ in water, and all that does is that just slows the progression, right? This is a really nice job of being pushed up. Again, I want to make sure that we're putting this out. Minimap. Pharaoh was right here. He was able to get a kill. I know it's the wrong color, but just work with us. So Pharaoh was able to get a kill there. And then you have SKYZ, you have Frosty, and you have Havoc all pushed up towards mid-map. So they know that they have map control, but rather than just sit back, again, they're trying to negate the fact that Atlanta can get a ton of points and make this a much closer ball game on this hill alone. Unfortunate team kill there from SIMP, but SKYZ being an absolute monster. Remember, this is the matchup where SKYZ had like a 1.5 KD overall. He was by far their best player, even though right now in this matchup, Pharaoh's 29 and 21, Awakening is 27 and 19, but SKYZ was just unbelievable. He led them in every match. He absolutely slayed out. And this is, we're talking about dominance, right? This is dominance by Florida. Not only do they have map control for P5, if it's like a checklist, check, they have map control for P5. And then you start thinking, well, we have to start to negate time inside of P4, check. They were doing that, right? Atlanta wasn't on top of P4. And then if you're going even further down the checklist, what did they have next? Then they were getting points inside of P4. So yes, they have control, map control for P5. They have the cutoffs on the top and the bottom side of the map. They were able to get time inside of P4. So now as it's rotating, all they need is 21 seconds inside of P5, and they're going to secure this victory. I love this play right here from Frosty. What a smart play. So, mini-map, bottom left-hand corner. Frosty was camped out up here the top side of the map because he was essentially trying to stop any push forward from Atlanta trying to get in this way, okay? So that's what he was combating. Once he realized they weren't pushing the bottom, he just went through pipes, went through you, and now he's setting up a pinch, right? Because Atlanta knows, well, we're going to have people shooting at us from here. We're going to have people shooting at us from mid-map, but they're not necessarily going to suspect somebody to be pinching them from behind, and that's the route that Frosty was taking. Super smart. Rather than run back into the hard point and give support there, he can set up a pinch and try to get kills from areas where they wouldn't be expecting people to be that. Super heady play there. Inside the hill, SKYZ, Awakening, Havoc, all getting multiple kills, and just like that, Mutineers end up winning. It's a dominant performance there, and that really set the stage for the rest of the matchup. So, another announcement here. Again, I'm going to be breaking down this entire series on my Twitch channel, Icon Nation YT. You can see it at the bottom of your screen there. Make sure you go follow me there. Again, we're starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So, make sure you follow me. Make sure you're tuned in. I'm excited to interact, go back and forth. You guys can ask questions, all of those things. So thank you guys for following me there. If you like this coverage, you enjoy these sorts of videos covering the CDL, I put out brand new videos every single day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Any comments, put them down below. Leave a like before you head on the way. Thank you guys so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.